Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Anna. Today's video, I'm going to talk about brush pen for beginners. So if you are new to calligraphy, specifically the brush pen calligraphy, you would probably want to have some ideas as to what brush pen should you get. There are a lot of brush pens in the market, and not all brush pens are created equal. So in this video, I'm gonna show you what to look for if you are an absolute beginner and you wanted to learn calligraphy. So if that is your intention, just go ahead and keep on watching. Okay, so if you are a beginner, you really wanted to know how all of these brush pens perform, so you could test it for yourself and see which one would work for you. Again, the kind of brush pen that you ought to get depends on what you wanted to do with it. If you wanted to create small letters, then you probably would like to get like a smaller tip brush pen similar to this one. So this one is Pilot Petit 3 Fude pen. I really like this pen. This is my very first calligraphy pen, and I am actually surprised because nobody ever talks about how good this pen is. So this pen got me started with calligraphy. It really performs very well for a beginner, and it encouraged me to just keep on practicing because this pen is flexible, but it has a good bounce to it. So even if you flex it, it springs back to its normal shape, and that's exactly what you need to look for a beginner calligraphy pen. Okay, so I am going to show you how this pen writes. I'm going to show you the characteristics of this pen and what the pros and cons are. And I think it's very important as a beginner to actually get a good beginner calligraphy pen, because this is going to encourage you to just keep on practicing, because you can get really discouraged. Because if you are an absolute beginner, I am here to tell you that calligraphy is a skill. So it's not something that you would learn overnight. So it's something that you need time, effort, practice, a lot of drills for you to be able to get it correctly. So it's similar to how little kids are learning how to write. The way you write with a brush pen is different from the way you write with your normal handwriting using just an ordinary pen. And that I will tell you in the next session. So today's session will focus just on the brush pen themselves. Okay, so like I said, one of the things that you wanted to look for a beginner calligraphy pen is the tip. So you want to make sure that the tip is flexible and durable. It has a good flex to it. It should have a good bounce to it. So if you flex it, it should return back to its original shape. That way you can create consistent thick and thin lines, and that way also the pen will not easily fray at the tip. So if your pen frays at the tip, it just means that that pen does not have a good bounce to it. So it does not spring back to its original shape, and that will affect the way you write your thick and thin lines. So let me show you how this works. So as you can see, it's very important also to hold the pen properly, and that I'm going to talk about in my next video. So normally when you do calligraphy, you wanted your upstrokes to be really light. So light, writing with very light pressure, just barely touching the pen, would give you thin lines. And then if you do your downstrokes, you wanted to exert a little bit of pressure. So in that way, you can produce thick lines. So your upstroke should be light and your downstroke should have more pressure. So similarly, you do the same thing. So this is basically how you practice calligraphy. So what I like about this pen is, well, by the way, I've had this pen for a long time. When did I first get this pen? I got this pen back in 2018, I think. So this pen, no, not even. Is it 20? No. I think it's 2017 when I first got this pen. I got this from National Bookstore, and I really got very curious about it because it's really tiny. But if you think that this would be difficult to write with, you are wrong. It's very easy to write with. All you need to do is make sure that that cap is securely posted. So if you want to extend the length of this cap, of this pen. So very, very nice. Another thing that I like about this pen is it comes with an ink cartridge. So when I got here in the US, I really can't find this pen in my local art store. So what I did is I did a little hack. So I kept the last cartridge, and using a syringe, I dropped some of my fountain pen ink to this cartridge. So now I'm able to refill it. But basically this was an old pen. It's like 3 years, but it still is performing really well. So the tip is very, very flexible, not flexible like super flexible, but it has a good flex to it. It springs back to its original shape, and it does not fray. So again, those are some of the stuff that you need to look for if you wanted a very good calligraphy brush pen. Okay, so this is, I really, really like this pen. This got me encouraged, in doing calligraphy, because this pen is very easy to control. So what kind of pen should you not get as an absolute beginner? Like I said, there are many different brush pens, and what I would recommend you to do is go and visit your local craft store, or maybe your local bookstore back home. You may want to test this pen out. You may want to try this for yourself and see how it writes. I know sometimes it's tempting to get a set, because it is significantly cheaper than buying, them individually. But then again, you may want to just test this out for yourself and see if you really like it. Now I have here another brush pen. This is from Tombow, and this is also a foodie pen. So foodie pen is basically just means that it's brush tip. There are two kinds of foodie pen, and I think the way to distinguish the two is to know the hardness or the flexibility of this. So see here, this navy blue one, it has the marking WS-BH 150. I don't really know what WS means, but I'm guessing the H there stands for hard. And then this one, which is in kind of like black green, kind of like greenish black color. It has the same marking. It's WS-BS. So BS means that the brush tip is soft, and this one has a hard tip. Now the hard tip is still flexible, but it's not springy, and this would affect the way you write. I really don't like, so it has this tip similar to this pilot one here, okay? But the tip here is hard. So the same thing, try to do the light pressure in your upstrokes, and then more pressure in your downstrokes. Light pressure, more pressure, light, more. Okay, so that's how you practice your strokes. So this one, I don't really have much problem with it, but like I said, it is hard tip. It is still flexible, but it does not bounce back very quickly. So I think it would affect the consistency of writing unless you have uh, very nice control of your movements. So let's see this one. So this is still nice, but it's hard to describe how this is different from this other one here. This other Tombow is the softer tip. And while it is softer, so as you can see, I don't know if you can really see it or if the camera can actually pick it up. Let me see. Let me see if you can actually see the difference. So the tip of this navy blue one is shorter compared to the soft one. So the soft one has maybe a tad bit longer tip than the hard one, and I think that that the length of that tip would play a significant role in the bounce of or the flexibility of these two brush pens. Let me see the other one. So the tip of this Tombow Soft is very similar to, let me see here, the tip of this Pilot Fude pen. I don't know if you can pick it up because you know you have the ink in there, so it's really hard to see the difference, but you kind of get it. So this one is tad bit longer, you know, than this one here, and this is the shortest one. So the shorter the tip, the more hard it is. So the longer the tip, the more flexible it is. So that's kind of like how you determine the bounce or the flexibility of the pen. It depends on the size or the length of the tip. Let me compare this with another brush pen that I own that I also really like. Let me see this Pentel Fude Touch Sign pen. So as you can see, it's very similar. Okay, so the tip of this pen is really good as well. Now again, the longer the length of the tip becomes, like this one here, I have what is this? This is Sakura Pigma brush pen. So as you can see, the tip is longer and this is also softer. So the softer the tip is, the greater the thickness of the line that you can create. However, it is very difficult to control. So you have to have that very fine motor skill for you to be able to control this one. So if you are a pro, then you can probably wing it, you know, using this one. But if you are an absolute beginner, I would suggest never to pick, you know, a brush pen that is very soft, because you are going to get discouraged because this is very difficult to control. So to illustrate, let me show you how this pen writes. Okay, so let's see here. Okay, so again, similar upstrokes, and then you have your downstroke. See like how significantly thicker the kind of line that you can create with this one, because it is very flexible. It's very soft, and that is probably not a problem. However, if you're an absolute beginner and you are just trying to control your pen, this is probably not a good thing for you. So if you try to maybe write a letter with it, let's say you're writing an A. So again, this is very difficult to control. Okay, so the tip of this pen really acts like a brush. You can see that brush kind of movement in there, and this would take really fine control for you to be able to control this one. Okay, so let's see, compare it with this Pentel Fude pen. really like this pentel foodie pen. I think if you are a beginner, you should get this. This is really nice. So again, okay, so this is very nice. Very easy to control, just the perfect amount of firmness and flexibility. So for as long as you know how to hold the pen correctly and you know how to apply your pressures, then you cannot go wrong with this pen. Okay, now I am going to compare it with this one that I got. This is FaberCastell. I don't know if I pronounce it right. And see here the marking, it's SD. It is soft brush. And then there is also another one here. Both of these are in black. This is FaberCastell, also in brush pen, but this is brush. So the difference is, again, in the tip of this pen, you can see that this one is longer, the softer tip is longer, and then the firmer tip is shorter. And then this has a good flex to it, similar to the Sakura pen. Okay, so again, this one is again also difficult to control. Again, the softer the tip, the more difficult to control. This is a little anyway, this is a little firmer, but I don't like the tip of this pen. Why don't I like the tip? It is not bouncy. It is not springy enough. So you would see in close up that the tip already frayed a little bit, and you probably could not see it on camera, but you will see it in its effect when I start writing with it. So this one, if you have a heavy hand, it will fray very easily. So I do not recommend that you get this brand. So again, let's try this. So see here, like the tip is already fraying. You probably cannot see that significantly here, but it does. I don't know what's in there in the tip. Okay, let me see here. Yeah, it doesn't have a good bounce to it. It does not, when you flex it, it does not retain its shape very quickly. So again, it would still affect the way you write. You probably could not see the difference in the way this pen writes just by me showing it to you, but really the way to tell the difference between these pens would be how they feel in your hand and how they write. Okay, so again, to summarize, what are the things that you needed to look for a beginner brush pen? You wanted to get a flexible brush pen, flexible enough in order to give you thick and thin lines, but firm enough for it to bounce back in its original shape. So it's flexible and springy at the same time, so you can properly control it. And then another thing that I mentioned is you pay attention to the size of the tip of the pen. Now, the longer the tip of the pen is, the more soft it is, and the shorter the tip, the more hard it is. So I hope this helps you in picking out your brush pens. Okay, don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't already, and if you have some comments, feel free to type your comments down below. And if you have questions about which one to pick, then just let me know. And let me know if there are other topics that you are interested in knowing, and I'll try my best to answer them. All right? Okay, so that's all for today, and I'm going to see you again in my next video. Bye!